Welcome back to the Gold News Channel. My name's Kerry Stevenson, bringing you another Goldie today. Of course I am. Peter Bird is the Executive Chairman of Zenith Minerals, and they've got some gold projects both in Queensland and Western Australia. Recent news coming out of their Western Australia project, which made me sit up and take a bit of notice and ask Peter to come on today. Peter, thanks for joining me on the Gold News Channel.
Thanks, Kerry. Thanks for having me.
You're doing, so you've got a couple of projects I want to focus on today within Zenith Minerals, but let's start with Split Rocks, which is over in Western Australia. You've got some high-grade near-surface gold mineralisation. So first up, can you tell our listeners what Zenith is doing, where Split Rocks is, and why you think this project is going to be pretty interesting for the company?
Yeah, sure. So we do have a base precious metals portfolio. So we're focused here on the gold. Split Rocks is located just to the south of the town of Marble Lock, so roughly halfway between Perth and Kalgoorlie. And we have a great land package there where we defined over the past year 18 targets over about 18 kilometres along classic Archean mineralised greenstone belt. Within that, we've defined a 3 kilometre long shear zone, which we've been drilling pretty aggressively for about 12 months now. And what you're referring to is we announced some 1 metre resplit samples earlier in the week, which are really confirming the earlier broader scale drilling on that property. So, as I said, 3 kilometres long. We've drilled down to about 120 vertical metres. Shallow dipping shear zone. The objective here is, can we define a resource by about the end of this calendar year or very early into next? And if we can do that, it'd be sort of an open pit style proposition, which we could get into and develop early.
How did you come across Split Rocks? Was there much drilling done before this? How did you get your hot little hands on it?
Yeah, well, I can't take the credit for it personally at all. Mick Clifford, our CEO and team, pegged this ground when really no one was interested in resources, a few years ago, and really now the opportunity is presented to give it a good crack, and we're generating some great results.
Well, let's talk about some of those great results. What sort of grades are you looking at, and is it sort of a continuous high grade, or is it a bit, what style have you got and what are you looking at?
Yeah, so it's as I said, about 3 kilometres long, multi-stacked shear zone, grades up into the teens within that shear zone. But overall, we feel that it'll probably be like a one, and we haven't done the numbers yet, but sort of a 1 to 1.5 gram per tonne, low strip ratio type proposition. Shallow dipping, reasonably soft. So that's what we're aiming to define.
Okay, well, excuse my absolute ignorance, but you know me, I'm an investor, not a geologist. You said you're getting results in the high teens, but that the end result will be sort of 1.5s, around that sort of thing. Why would you not think it might be higher overall?
Oh, look, I think because when you start wrapping a mining envelope around mineralized zones, you can't necessarily, you might have a 0.5 metre at 20 grams per tonne, for example, but you can't mine at that width. So you might have to mine at 2 metres wide, which immediately turns that into 5 grams per tonne. So if it's et cetera, et cetera. So I think, once you put commercial envelopes around it, you will have a less ore grade, but still very commercial.
That commercially viable, absolutely. So that's coming up. So lots of drilling going on. How many rigs have you got on that project at the moment? And any challenges with COVID? Or, well, I guess Western Australia, they've got the bloody border closed. No challenges.
No.
COVID doesn't exist in WA, does it, Peter?
No. So we've got 3 rigs on it at the minute. So we're pushing really hard to try and get that done.
All right, you've got the other one that I'd like to talk about today, because as you rightly said before, ladies and gentlemen, Zenith Minerals does have some base metals as well, but for the Gold News Channel, I'm just focusing on the gold. However, I'm going to sneak in at the end something about a project that they've got over in WA, which is free carry. I'm just going to sneak that in at the end, so stick around. Peter, the Queensland Gold project, Red Mountain, just give our listeners and investors an indication of where you think the value is there.
Yeah, sure. So Red Mountain, located in southern Queensland, a couple hundred kilometres from the coast. Virgin discovery for the Zenith team. For the listeners, you've got to think about it as a cigar or a baguette vertically in the earth.
About I like that, a baguette.
Yeah, just like a baguette. So,
all right, I like visual. That's good.
Yeah, and about 600 metres in width. So what we're targeting, if we're using the baguette example, we're targeting the crust, the stuff on the outside. We've defined good, strong mineralisation on one portion of that edge, which we've chased down now to about 200 vertical metres. A couple of rigs working on that right now. This is a bit different to split rocks as a proposition. Split rocks clearly open pit, broad scale mining. This would probably lend itself to underground mining in time. A lot of other examples of this sort of mineralisation around the world, they can push down to over 1 kilometre. So
wow. Okay.
Obviously, what we've got to do, and an example in Queensland is a project called Mount Wright, which was run by Resolute, and that's well documented. So we will chase this thing down over time and see whether or not we can get a resource envelope around it, and then obviously the next steps follow on from there. So I think a lot of value to generate here as time goes on.
Any challenges with COVID and because I'm up in Queensland, we open the border, we close the border, we open it and we close it. Any challenges there, or have you structured in such a way that the guys can keep working?
Yeah, so what we did very early in this whole COVID thing was split our exploration teams east and west. So they're quite separate teams. So we've got a team in Queensland and we've got a team in WA. So we've been able to get on and work through this whole period, but clearly there's not the physical cross pollination, but with things like communications like Zoom, we can keep in close contact with the guys.
Yeah, and it is Zoom. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we will be doing the Australian Gold Conference face to face come February. So I'm pretty excited about that, Peter, because it doesn't matter. We're doing it regardless, even if I have to do it partly hybrid, but I will be there. And if the borders aren't open between Queensland and New South Wales, I'm going to leave Queensland because I'm doing the conference in Sydney at Crown. Bit of gambling, bit of gold, bit of fun. Got to mention these things, haven't I?
I think we'll be getting closer towards the early part of next calendar year, so that'll be good.
Yeah, I really hope so. Now, I did tease, well, before I give the final teaser, which is not gold related, Peter, why do you think now people should be looking at Zenith? Because there's as you and I both know, there's a lot of companies on the ASX, there's a lot of companies vying for attention, but there's also a lot of investors out there that are looking for a place to put their hard-earned cash. So what I want to know is, why should I give my hard-earned cash to Zenith Minerals?
Yeah, no, it's a super good question. I mean, we've managed to aggregate a portfolio over a number of years, which is well past speculation stage.
Okay.
We were not talking too much about our base metals today, but 4 of our key projects are all at that inflection point of either drill out or resource definition. So they're moving up that value curve really fast. And, we've actually, ourselves and our partner, we've got 12 rigs running in the current quarter. So we're going to generate a lot of positive information. A lot of information and hopefully a lot of positive information. Which
it'll be positive, Peter.
Yeah, but I think, we've put ourselves in that position to be able to do that. And, I think that means it'll generate, you start pushing projects into resource territory, clearly you can ascribe a value to them, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. And in terms of sort of funding and all that sort of stuff for our listeners out there, because that's the other thing, have you got enough cash to fulfill what you need to do? With 12 rigs running, it can run out pretty quickly.
Yeah, so of those 12, 5 are within one project, which we're free carried in.
Okay.
So, we've effectively got 7, which we're paying for. We recently raised a little over $6 million, which was very gratifying. And in addition to that, we've got investments in our balance sheet of another sort of approximately 6. So we're very well funded to get on and evaluate the portfolio.
All right, so that's where you see the value is continuing to I guess, with Split Rocks getting closer to a resource, with Red Mountain making sure that, I love it. It's the baguette, ladies and gentlemen. It's the visualization
Get
of
a
1 kilometre long baguette and how we could eat that. But there we go.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's pretty exciting as well. Now, I did tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'd give you a little teaser. It's not gold related, but I think it's important enough that I don't want to ignore it. And that's this 25% free carry, which you just alluded to, Peter. So just quickly, this is over in Western Australia, and it's a joint venture with Rumble Resources. I think that this could be a bit of a game changer. So I know it's not gold, ladies and gentlemen, but just, Peter, briefly give us a flavour of what's happening over at Irahidi.
Yeah, sure. So the Irahidi is a zinc play, shallow zinc play, which was discovered in about April. It looks like a tier 1 discovery, which has currently an exploration target as defined by Rumble and well announced of circa 120 million tonnes at between 3.5% and 4.5% zinc. The structure of the Irahidi joint venture is that Rumble are 75%, we're 25% free carried to the end of a BFS. During the course of the year, Rumble raised around $40 million. And as part of that raise, they've allocated a 40,000 metre drill program, which is underway right now. And there's 5 drill rigs on that project. So they're hitting it very hard. And clearly, this is a very exciting discovery. It's large scale. The Rumble guys are suggesting it's a tier 1 type discovery. And I think you've just got to watch this space. This is no small discovery. All
right, ladies and gentlemen, it's not gold, but I wanted you to hear about it because, as Peter just said, tier 1 discovery. So I thought it was a bit exciting. Peter Bird, Executive Chairman of Zenith Minerals. All the best of not luck, but you know what? You're getting on with it. 7 rigs on yours, another 5 on the joint venture. Lots going on. Final comment is with you, Peter.
Yeah, I think have a look at the Zenith story. Split Rocks is imminent. Irahidi is people just don't even know about it, so you've got to have a look at that. And we're well cashed up to execute.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining me on the Gold News channel, Peter.